The keys were supposed to be mine. That was the agreement. Written down, signed, witnessed by our mother at the kitchen table on a Sunday afternoon in April. I had kept the paper in a folder in my desk drawer for 11 months. The morning I drove to the house with my boxes loaded in the back seat, I had that folder on the passenger seat beside me. I remember looking at it at a red light and thinking how strange it was that something worth $44,000 fit inside something so thin. My name is Claire Whitfield. I am 34 years old. I teach secondary school English in the same city where I grew up. I have never owned property. Not for lack of trying. I started saving when I was 26. Every month, a fixed amount transferred automatically into a separate account I did not touch. I had a name for it in my phone. House account. My sister Rachel knew about it. She knew the balance. She knew what it was for. She used to joke that I was the responsible one, the serious one, the one who always had a plan. I believed that was affection. I understand now it was observation. When Rachel came to me 18 months before any of this happened, she sat at my kitchen table and cried for 40 minutes before she said what she needed to say. Her landlord had issued a notice. 60 days. Her husband Daniel had been laid off 3 months earlier. She had 2 children, a 7-year-old and a 4-year-old. She had found a house she could afford to rent long-term. Good area, school nearby, garden in the back. But the deposit was $44,000. And she did not have it. She looked at me across the table the way she used to look at me when we were teenagers and she needed something she was too embarrassed to ask for directly. I knew what was coming before she said it. I will pay you back, she said. Every cent. With interest if you want. I just need the children somewhere stable. I asked her what the arrangement would look like. She said I could take the 3rd bedroom. No rent. Just the deposit counted as my contribution. We would share the house until she and Daniel got back on their feet. Then they would buy me out. I would get my $44,000 back, plus a share of any equity if they eventually purchased the property. I told her I needed to think. She said she understood. She left. I sat at my kitchen table for 2 hours after she was gone. I thought about the house account. I thought about how long it had taken to build it. 8 years of the same fixed transfer, the same discipline, the same saying no to things so the number could keep growing. I thought about her children. The 7-year-old had just started a new school year. The 4-year-old still slept with a stuffed rabbit she carried everywhere. I called Rachel back that night. I said yes. I transferred the money 4 days later. I watched the house account go from $44,000 to 0 in a single transaction. It took less than a minute. I gave notice to my own landlord the following week. I arranged movers for the first Saturday of March. I told my closest colleagues I was moving in with family for a while. I kept the details vague because something in me wanted to be careful, though I told myself the caution was unnecessary. This was my sister. I had known her my entire life. Moving day was cold. The kind of March morning where the sky stays. Gray from before. Sunrise and never changes. I loaded my car before 8. The movers were meeting me at the house at 10. I pulled up outside at 9:47. The curtains were drawn. I knocked. No answer. I knocked again, louder. I heard something move inside. Footsteps, maybe. Then nothing. I took out the key Rachel had given me when she and Daniel first moved in. 4 months earlier. I put it in the lock. It did not turn. I tried again. Still nothing. I stood on the front step with my coat pulled tight, and I understood what had happened before I was fully ready to understand it. They had changed the locks. I called Rachel. It rang 4 times. She picked up. "Claire," she said. Her voice was flat. Not surprised. Not apologetic. Controlled. "I'm outside," I said. "I know," she said. I waited. "We've been talking," she said, "and we've decided the arrangement isn't going to work." "What do you mean it isn't going to work?" I said. "The living situation," she said. "Daniel needs his own space right now. He's finding the job search stressful, and having someone else in the house would add pressure." "Rachel," I said, "I gave you $44,000. "I know," she said. "We'll pay you back." I gave notice on my flat, I said. The movers are arriving in 11 minutes. I know, she said. I'm really sorry about the timing. She did not sound sorry. She sounded like someone who had rehearsed this call and was now simply delivering it. I have nowhere to go, I said. You'll be okay, she said. You always land on your feet. She hung up. I stood on the step of a house I had paid for and could not enter. The movers arrived at 10 o'clock. I told them there had been a change of plans. I paid them for their time. I watched their van pull away. Then I got into my car and I sat there for a long time. I was not crying. I was thinking. My colleague Diane answered when I called. I told her enough without telling her everything. She said, "Come here now." I drove to her house with my boxes still in the back seat. She made tea. She set up the spare room without being asked. I slept there that night with my boxes stacked in her hallway and the folder on the nightstand beside me. In the morning, I called a solicitor. Her name was Margaret Osey. A colleague at school had used her 2 years earlier for a lease dispute and said she was precise and direct and did not waste time. I liked that description. I went to her office that afternoon. I brought the folder. I told her everything. She listened without interrupting. When I finished, she asked to see the document. She read it carefully. She looked up. "This is a valid written agreement," she said. "It specifies the amount, the purpose, and the terms clearly. It has both signatures and a named witness. They cannot simply reverse the arrangement and retain your funds." "What are my options?" I said. "Civil recovery," she said. "Given the written agreement, you have a strong position. If they settle early, this could resolve in weeks. If they contest, expect 6 to 8 months." "Proceed," I said. She nodded and opened a new file. That evening, Rachel called. Not to apologize. To warn me. "I heard you went to a lawyer," she said. I did not ask how she knew. Our mother had called her, I suspected. "Rachel," I said, "I slept on a colleague's sofa last night. All my belongings are in someone else's hallway, because you changed the locks on a house I paid for." "You're going to destroy the family over money," she said. "You destroyed a legal agreement," I said. "Those are different things. Daniel is barely holding it together," she said. "If you push this, it will break him completely." "I need you to hear what you're saying," I said. "You're asking me to absorb a $44,000 loss, so Daniel doesn't feel pressured." She was quiet. "Mom is going to be devastated," she said. "Mom was sitting at the table when we signed the agreement," I said. "She can read it herself." I ended the call. My mother called the next morning at 8. I had been expecting it. "Claire," she said, "surely this can be sorted out without lawyers." "It is being sorted out," I said. "I mean within the family," she said. "Mom," I said, "I have no flat. My savings account is empty. I am sleeping in a colleague's spare room. There is no version of this that stays within the family." She tried another approach. She said Rachel was struggling. She said the children needed stability. She said I was the capable one, the one who always managed, the one who could handle this kind of setback better than Rachel could. I had heard this before. I knew what it meant. It meant say nothing. Let your sister keep what she took. You are strong enough to lose this. "I'm not absorbing this," I said. My mother went quiet. Then she said, "I don't recognize you lately." "You recognize me fine," I said. "You just preferred the version of me that didn't say no." She said nothing. I said goodbye and ended the call. Margaret sent a formal letter of demand that week. Rachel and Daniel ignored it. A second letter followed 3 weeks later. They responded through their own solicitor, a man named Harper, who argued the written agreement was informal in nature and not enforceable. Margaret read his letter and set it down on her desk. "He knows better than this," she said. "This document is entirely enforceable. Shall I respond accordingly?" "Yes," I said. She did. 2 weeks after Margaret's response, Harper contacted her again. His clients wished to discuss settlement. I was in the middle of a school day when Margaret called to tell me. I stepped into the corridor to take it. "They want to negotiate," she said. "What would you accept?" I said. "Full repayment and costs," she said. "That is what the agreement entitles you to." Then that is what I want, I said. The negotiation took 9 days. Rachel called me on the 4th day. Her voice was smaller than I had ever heard it. Can we just talk? She said. Without the lawyers for 5 minutes. What would you like to say? I said. She was quiet for a moment. I'm sorry, she said. I know that doesn't fix anything. It doesn't, I said. But I hear you. Can you drop the case? She said. No, I said. Then at least let us pay in installments, she said. Speak to Margaret, I said. She handles the terms. She exhaled. Long and slow. You used to be easier, she said. I used to be cheaper, I said. She hung up. The settlement was finalized on a Tuesday. Full repayment of $44,000. Legal costs covered. Structured over 14 months. Starting the 1st of the following month. I signed the documents in Margaret's office on a gray afternoon. She shook my hand. Straightforward case, she said. You had the paperwork. I know, I said. I always kept the paperwork. I found a new flat the following week. Smaller than I wanted. 3rd floor, no lift, no garden. But the key worked when I put it in the lock. I checked it twice before I signed the lease. I moved in on a Saturday. I carried the boxes up 3 flights myself. I put the folder in the desk drawer. Then I sat at my small kitchen table with a cup of tea and I looked at the walls and the ceiling and the single window that let in the afternoon light.
It was mine.
Not shared. Not conditional. Mine. The first payment from Rachel arrived on the 1st of the month. The notification came while I was making breakfast. I looked at it. The amount was correct. I put my phone face down and finished my eggs. At Eid, my mother organized a dinner. Rachel and Daniel came. I came. We sat at opposite ends of the table and we were polite the way people are, polite when the thing between them has been named and settled. And neither side has forgotten. My mother watched us both all evening. She did not say anything. I think she had finally understood that some things cannot be smoothed over by sitting people in the same room. Some things change the shape of a family permanently, not because someone chose to be difficult, but because someone finally chose not to disappear. The payments came every month for 14 months. On the morning the final payment cleared, I was at my kitchen table with my tea. The notification arrived at 8:42. I looked at the number. 44,000 returned. Costs covered. Every cent. I set my phone down. I looked out the window at the street below. The city was already moving. Buses, people, all of it going forward without waiting. I finished my tea. Then I opened my banking app and I transferred my usual fixed amount into the house account. The one I had restarted the month I moved in. The balance was still small, but it was growing, the same way it always had. Month by month. Fixed and quiet and entirely mine. And this time no one knew the number. No one knew the name of the account. No one had ever sat at my kitchen table and watched me build it. Some lessons you only need to learn once.